I never imagined my life would spiral into this cosmic whirlwind. A human caught in the ancient rituals of an alien world, where marriage was more than a union between two souls. It was a binding force that connected families, clans, and destinies in ways I couldn't have fathomed. My name is Theo, an ordinary man from Earth who, by a twist of fate, found himself entangled with two extraordinary sisters, Arelia and Arelissa. It all began on my first mission to the distant colony of Virelia, a planet shimmering with bioluminescent, forests and skies painted in violet hues. My role was simple: diplomatic liaison between Earth and the Virelian Federation. But simplicity, as I learned, was a luxury I couldn't afford. The moment I met Arelia, her piercing emerald eyes held a storm of secrets. She moved with a grace that was almost hypnotic, her silver hair cascading like liquid moonlight. But it was Arelissa, the younger sister, who first approached me with a mischievous smile and an unspoken challenge in her gaze. Both were unlike anyone I'd ever known, fierce, intelligent, and deeply bound by a sisterly pact that echoed through generations. I thought my interactions would be limited to formal dinners and diplomatic negotiations. Instead, I was soon swept into a web of customs that demanded far more than political alliances. The Virelian tradition was clear. Marriage wasn't just an agreement between two individuals, it was a covenant involving the entire family, especially siblings. To marry one sister meant accepting the others as well. When Arelia first broached the subject, her voice was firm yet tinged with vulnerability. "Theo, if you wish to marry me, you must understand that my sisters are inseparable from my fate. They will stand beside me, always. It is not just me you pledge to, but all of us." I was stunned. On Earth, marriage was personal, exclusive, a bond shared by two. Here, it was a collective destiny. I grappled with the weight of this revelation, torn between the excitement of a profound connection and the fear of losing control over my own future. Days turned into weeks as I grew closer to the sisters. Arelissa's playful banter softened my doubts, while Arelia's quiet strength anchored my resolve. They were more than family. They were a force, an unbreakable triad that demanded respect and understanding. But beneath their smiles, I sensed an unspoken tension. The sisters carried burdens, ancient rivalries, and expectations from their clan that threatened to tear us apart before we even began. One evening, beneath the violet stars of Virelia, Arelia confessed, "There are those who oppose our union. With you, Theo. They fear what it represents, a bridge between worlds, a threat to traditions long held sacred." I realized then that this was more than a personal journey. It was a struggle against a tide of suspicion, jealousy, and political intrigue. To stand with Arelia and Arelissa, I had to become more than a diplomat. I had to become a part of their story. As I looked into their eyes, I made a silent promise to fight for this bond, no matter the cost. Because in this cosmic dance of fate and choice, my heart had already made its decision. The heavy weight of responsibility settled on my shoulders faster than I ever anticipated. Virelia, with all its glowing forests and violet skies, felt less like a world of wonder and more like a labyrinth, each path tangled with unseen dangers and ancient customs that threatened to overwhelm me. The reality of the Virelian marriage tradition wasn't merely about bonding with one person. It was a complex ritual binding families, histories, and destinies into a single, unyielding chain. That morning, Arelissa came to me before dawn, her usual lively spark dimmed by something more serious. She stood quietly in the soft luminescence of my quarters, the pale light casting sharp shadows on her delicate face. Her silver hair caught the glow, shimmering with the promise of secrets she was reluctant to share. "Theo," she began, her voice almost a whisper, "there's more you need to understand about us, about what you've agreed to." I motioned for her to continue, sensing that this conversation would shift everything. "We, the sisters, are not just siblings bound by blood or affection," she said, her eyes searching mine as if measuring how much I could bear. "We are custodians of an ancient pact, a covenant that stretches back generations, one that binds us not only to each other but to the fate of our people. Her words painted pictures in my mind, not of a romantic union but of a sacred mission. I swallowed hard and asked, "What kind of pact?" Arelissa took a breath and stepped closer, lowering her voice even further. "Our marriage tradition is unlike anything you know. To marry one sister means you marry us all. It's a collective bond, forged to ensure unity and strength among the clan. But with that bond comes great responsibility and danger." I could feel the weight of her gaze, the seriousness beneath her delicate exterior. "Danger?" "Yes," she confirmed, her emerald eyes flickering with shadows. "Our clan is fractured. There are those who oppose the idea of an outsider, especially a human, being tied so closely to us. They see it as a betrayal, a threat to the old ways. By accepting this marriage, you don't just join us. You become a symbol of change, and not everyone welcomes change." Her words struck me like a thunderclap. I realized then that my role was no longer just diplomatic or personal. I had become a pawn in a much larger game, a game filled with ancient grudges, hidden alliances, and silent threats. Later that day, I found Arelia waiting on the balcony overlooking Virelia's luminous forests. The twin moons hung low in the sky, bathing her face in soft silver light. Her expression was calm but tinged with an unspoken sadness that settled deep in my chest. "Theo," she began quietly, "I know this is a lot to take in. We never asked for a simple life. None of us did. But we want you to know that the sisters' bond is unbreakable, and our lives are interwoven with the fate of our people. This marriage isn't just about love, it's about survival." I reached out and took her hand, feeling the warmth beneath her skin. "Arelia, I'm not here for anything simple. I'm here for you, and Arelissa. We'll face whatever comes, together." Her lips curved into a fragile smile, but I sensed the storm still brewing beneath her composed exterior. Our moment was shattered by the sharp alarm of the Federation's security system. It was an urgent alert, a reminder that the political undercurrents surrounding our union were already stirring trouble. The next morning I was summoned to a clandestine meeting with the clan elders, stoic figures whose very presence commanded silence. Their eyes held the weight of centuries, sharp and unforgiving, as they examined me like a specimen under scrutiny. I stood before them, heart pounding, and spoke from the soul. I told them of my feelings for Arelia and Arelissa, of my willingness to honor their customs and embrace their world. But the elders were unmoved. One of them, an elder with deep-set eyes and a voice like gravel, leaned forward. "Theo, your words are sincere, but sentiment will not sway the tides of tradition. Our clan's survival depends on balance and trust. To marry our sisters is to become intertwined with ancient powers we guard jealously." His words hung heavy in the air. I realized that trust would have to be earned, not with speeches, but with actions. Walking out of the chamber, the weight of expectation pressed down on me. I was no longer a visitor or envoy. I was a potential key to peace or destruction, to acceptance or exile. That night, I found both sisters waiting for me under the twin moon's glow. Arelissa reached out first, her hand finding mine with quiet determination. "Theo, no matter the dangers, no matter the stakes, we're with you. Together we face whatever comes." In their eyes, I found a strength I never knew I possessed, the courage to challenge fate itself. The tension in the air was almost tangible as I stepped back into the heart of Virelia's capital. The luminescent trees outside flickered like silent sentinels, their glowing leaves whispering secrets only they could understand. But beneath, the beauty, the city simmered with unease, a restless energy born from uncertainty and ancient grudges. Since my meeting with the elders, I felt eyes on me everywhere. The clansmen's gazes were sharp, some laced with suspicion, others with veiled hostility. I was an outsider, a human, and in their eyes, a catalyst for change they neither welcomed nor trusted. But it was the sisters' unwavering presence that kept me grounded. Arelia, always poised and calm, met me with a quiet strength that reassured me. Arelissa, ever fiery and unyielding, refused to let fear cloud her resolve. Together they were a force unlike anything I had ever encountered. One evening, as the violet dusk painted the sky, Arelissa led me through a narrow passageway beneath the city, a hidden network of tunnels forgotten by most but vital to those who sought to challenge the status quo. The air was cool and damp, echoing with faint murmurs of rebellion. "This is where the dissenters gather," she explained softly. "Those who oppose our union with you see it as a threat to their power. They believe mixing our bloodlines with an outsider will weaken us." I glanced around, my heart pounding. The flicker of torchlight revealed shadowed faces, young and old, fierce and wary. Some looked like warriors, others like scholars, but all shared the same fire in their eyes. "Why do they fear me so much?" I asked. Arelissa's gaze hardened. "Because you represent change, and change threatens the old ways, the traditions that keep power in the hands of the few. They fear losing control." Her words echoed a truth I'd sensed since arriving here. The Sisters clan was a delicate balance of power, loyalty, and history, and my presence disrupted that balance. Suddenly, footsteps approached from the shadows. A tall figure emerged, cloaked and hooded. His voice was cold, filled with warning. "Theo, human, know this. Your presence here is not welcome. Step away from the Sisters or face the consequences." I squared my shoulders, meeting his gaze. "I'm not here to cause harm. I want to understand and protect them." The man's eyes narrowed. "Words are wind. Actions will decide your fate." Before tension could escalate, Arelia appeared beside me, her voice steady but commanding. "Enough. This is not the way." The man hesitated, but retreated into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of unease. Back above ground, Arelia and I stood beneath the shimmering stars. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "If we want to be together, we must face these challenges head on." Days passed with mounting pressure. I attended council meetings, navigated political intrigues, and learned the subtle dance of Virelian diplomacy. Yet, amidst the chaos, moments of quiet intimacy with the Sisters offered solace, a reminder of what I was fighting for. One night, under the light of the twin moons, Arelissa confessed her fears. "Theo, I worry for what's to come. The clan's divisions run deep. There are those who would see us torn apart rather than united." I pulled her close, whispering, "We won't let that happen. We'll forge a new path. Together." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, but her grip on my hand was firm. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and sacrifice. But with Arelia and Arelissa by my side, I knew we could defy fate itself. The storm of opposition was gathering strength faster than I anticipated. Every step I took felt like walking a razor's edge. One misstep could shatter everything we were building. The elders' wary glances, the whispers in shadowed corridors, even the subtle shifts in the Sisters' moods all spoke of the mounting tension. One evening, as the twin moons rose high and cast silver light over Virelia's glowing forests, Arelia and I found ourselves alone in a secluded garden. The air was thick with the scent of alien blossoms, their luminescent petals glowing softly in the dark. She reached out and took my hand, her touch grounding me amid the chaos. "Theo," she said, voice low but steady. "There is something. You must know. Something I've kept from you." I looked into her eyes, sensing the gravity behind her words. "Our clan's traditions run deep, but so do the scars of betrayal," she continued. "Years ago, our family was torn apart by a conflict sparked by a similar union. A stranger was brought into our fold, and the fallout nearly destroyed us. That history shapes much of the resistance you face now." I swallowed hard, the weight of the past pressing down on me. How do we overcome that? How do I prove that I am different? Arelia's gaze softened. By standing strong, by showing that our bond is built on trust and love, not just politics. Just then, a sudden movement caught my eye. From the shadows emerged Arelissa, her expression fierce yet weary. "Theo, you must prepare. The opposition is more dangerous than we imagined. There are factions willing to use force to break us apart." The words hit me like a physical blow. This was no longer a political dispute. It was a battle for our survival. In the days that followed, we fortified our position. The sisters introduced me to the clan's inner circle, a group of loyalists who believed in our union and were ready to defend it at all costs. Training sessions, strategy meetings, and late-night discussions became our new normal. Amidst this, I felt the profound depth of Arelia and Arelissa's bond. Their loyalty to each other was unwavering, and their determination to protect our future burned fiercely in their eyes. One night, as I sat alone reflecting on everything, a message arrived. A warning from an unknown source. Leave now, or face the consequences. The threat was clear, but so was my resolve. I rose, determination hardening within me. If this was a war for love and acceptance, I was ready to fight, not just for myself, but for the sisters who had stolen my heart and the future we dared to dream of. Together, we would face the darkness and emerge stronger. The days blurred into nights as the tension tightened its grip on Virelia. The opposition wasn't just political anymore, it was personal. Whispered threats turned into open confrontations, and the clan's fractured loyalties threatened to erupt into violence. Every glance over my shoulder reminded me how fragile our future was. But the bond between Arelia, Arelissa, and me had grown into something unbreakable. Their fierce devotion to each other and to our shared destiny fueled my courage. I knew I wasn't alone in this fight. One evening, under the twin moon's watchful glow, we gathered with our closest allies in a hidden sanctuary beneath the city, a cavern carved into crystalline rock that pulsed with an ethereal light. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Plans were made, alliances reaffirmed, and the resolve to face whatever came next was palpable. Arelia's voice rang clear as she addressed the group. "Our future depends not on fear, but on unity. We will not allow old grudges to dictate our fate." Arelissa's eyes flashed with fire. "If they want a war, we'll give them a fight they'll never forget." I stood beside them, my heart pounding. I may be human, but I'm part of this now. I'll stand with you, through every challenge. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the cavern. The crystalline walls shimmered, and shadows danced in the flickering light. An urgent message crackled through our comms. An attack was imminent. Rushing to the surface, we found chaos waiting. The rival faction had launched a sudden assault on the city's outskirts, seeking to seize control and break our hold. The battle was fierce. Laser blasts lit the night, and the clash of weapons echoed against the alien trees. Amidst the chaos, I fought not just for survival, but for the sisters who had become my world. Then, in the heat of the fight, a figure emerged, the leader of the opposing faction, a towering warrior cloaked in dark armor. His voice boomed, laced with contempt. "This union defies tradition. It will crumble, and so will your hopes." But Arelia stepped forward, eyes blazing. "Our bond is stronger than your hatred. You underestimate the power of unity." With a decisive strike, she engaged the warrior, her movements a blend of grace and lethal precision. Arelissa flanked him, their synchronized attacks overwhelming the enemy. Watching them fight side by side, I felt a surge of pride and love. These were not just sisters, Tanopao. They were warriors, protectors of a future we would forge together. As the dust settled and the enemy retreated, the city breathed a collective sigh of relief. The battle had been won, but the war for acceptance was far from over. Later, beneath the quiet stars, I held Arelia and Arelissa close. "We faced the darkness," I whispered, "and we're still standing. Together." Arelissa smiled, her voice soft but firm. "This is just the beginning. but with you we're unstoppable. In that moment, I knew our story was no longer just about marriage or tradition. It was about breaking barriers, challenging fate, and choosing love, not as a solitary path, but as a shared journey with the sisters who had captured my heart. Future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Whatever came next, we would face it side by side, bound not just by ancient customs, but by a bond forged in defiance and hope.